It's time for Baby and Toddler Instructions with host Blythe Lippman. Blythe is a nationally renowned infant and toddler expert who has over 30 years' experience helping moms and dads regain their sanity, teaching them how to survive, and giving them the confidence they need to be the best parents ever. From sleeping to crying to potty training to choosing a preschool and so much more. If you're a parent, Baby and Toddler Instructions is the show you've been looking for. Now here's your host, Blythe Lippman.
Why do mothers cry? Why are you crying? He asked his mom. 'Cause I'm a mother, she told him. I don't understand. His mom hugged him. You never will. Later, the little boy asked his father why Mother cried for no reason. All mothers cry, Dad said. The little boy grew up to be a man and still wondered why mothers cry. So he finally put a call in to God. And when God was on the phone, the man said, God, why do mothers cry so easily? God said, you see, son, when I made mothers, they had to be special. I made their shoulders strong enough to carry the weight of the world, yet gentle enough to give comfort. I gave them an inner strength to endure childbirth and the rejection that many times comes from their children. I gave them a hardiness that allows them to keep going when everyone else gives up and to take care of their families through sickness and fatigue without complaining. I gave them the sensitivity to love their children under all circumstances, even when their child has hurt them very badly. This same sensitivity helps them to make a child's boo-boo feel better and helps them share a teenager's anxieties and fears. I gave them a tear to shed. It's theirs exclusively to use whenever it's needed. It's their only weakness. It's a tear for mankind. Well, welcome to Baby and Toddler Instructions. You know, I read that poem every year before Mother's Day, and Mother's Day is coming up this Sunday, so I thought that I would read it first. Anyway, I'm so happy you could tune in today. I have a fun-packed show. It's the first Wednesday in May, and you know what that means. Connie Grunning from Peanut Butter and Wine will be with us to tell us what's hot and what's not. Then I have a wonderful mom and author, Judy Walters. She's going to talk about her latest book, and sometimes how it's tough if you feel like you don't fit in. It's a great book. But first, if you didn't listen to last week's show, you have to listen. It was great. It was such a blast. It was my 200th show, and my heart is still overflowing with gratitude for all of you. You know, my guests, my friends, my colleagues, my listeners. I would never have reached 200 without all of you, and what a wonderful, wonderful show. Sandra Beck was the host, and it was so much fun to be a guest on my own show and take a walk down memory lane. I'll never forget it. Thank you, everyone, so very much. Thanks. And I can't wait to be up to 400. Yay! So listen to the podcast. It's on my website, babyinstructions.com, and mybestparentingadvice.com, and it's on toginet.com under the Baby and Toddler Instructions show. So take a listen. It was such a fun show. And the weather, well, it is crazy because it is 55 degrees here today. I can't believe it, but I'm jumping up and down because it was 102 last week. Anyway, we have such crazy weather lately. I just want to wish everybody some sunshine wherever you are. It's about time. You know, May is National Water Safety Month, and unfortunately, we've already had a number of drownings here in Arizona. If you didn't hear my show with Bob Hubbard from the Hubbard Family Swim School when he was my guest, pull up the podcast from April 2nd. You know, everybody thinks that when a child drowns or a adult drowns, it's noisy. You know, like on TV, you see people sputtering, and drowning is silent. I learned that drowning is silent. A person is trying so hard to get above water, and yes, maybe their arms are flailing, but if they're a child, you can't see them. I hate to be so morbid, but you know, we're all going to be by the water really soon. So take a listen to Bob Hubbard's show, April 2nd. He was my guest. Pull up the podcast. Let's see, what else do we have? I don't know where Connie is. Connie, you sleeping? Call in. We can't seem to find Connie this morning. Anyway, there was one recall. IKEA renounces and expands the recall of children's wall-mounted lamps. They can get entangled in the electric cord that hangs from the children's wall-mounted lamps, which is a strangulation hazard. I did not get a chance to put this on my website, babyinstructions.com. I will put this on here and take a look at all the other recalls. But, anything hanging, any kind of cord, anything that's there, it could be just unsafe for your kids. So take a look around. Anyway, so that was the one recall this week, and I check every week. So let's see what else we have. Well, I'm not quite sure what happened with Connie. Maybe her phone something's wrong, but maybe we can get her after the commercial. In the meantime, we will talk to my other guest, Judy. Let me tell you a little bit about Judy. Judy Walters was an editor of nonfiction books until she became a stay-at-home mom to her two daughters 17 years ago. They're 20 and 16, and she continues to stay home and write full-time. She's the author of Child of Mine, which was published in 2013, and we had her on the show and talked about that. And now her new book that was just released in February, The Opposite of Normal, is out, and I have to tell you, I can't put it down. It is such a great book, and the messages that are in this book are unbelievable. I am so excited to be able to talk to Judy. So let's say good morning, Judy. How are you?
Hi, Blythe. Good. How are you?
I'm great. How's your weather?
Well, I'm in New Jersey, and it's just starting to warm up the last couple of weeks. We had a very long and horrendous winter, which I'm glad is over. And today it is sunny, and the leaves are starting to come out on the tree, so I'm a very happy camper.
Oh, I'm so excited to hear that because my mom lives in New Jersey, and I know you had so much snow. It was so
it was horrible.
bad.
Horrible.
Yes, you had a terrible winter, and I'm so sorry. I hope you have a long, long summer and the snow doesn't come back. Anyway, I'm so happy you're on the show. I have to tell you, so you don't give away the ending, for everybody that wants to buy your book, this new book, I loved your first book, and I am loving your second book. And I wish I could keep my eyes open all night. I was up really late trying to finish it last night. I can't wait to see the ending. I mean, it's you know what, the messages out there, I have so much to ask you about with the book. But first of all, let me ask you the first question. Did this come from things that happened in your life? And if you want to give a little synopsis of what the book's about.
I am one of those people who writes what I know. I'm always amazed by writers of like science fiction or historical fiction that can put you in a time and place that doesn't exist or you have never been in. I'm not one of those writers. I prefer to write what I know. This book is about a family that's living in Manhattan, a rabbi and his two children who are 17 and 12. And their wife and mother dies, and he decides to move his children to the suburbs because he feels like maybe it will feel more intimate to them. Maybe they'll meet some nice stay-at-home mothers who can help him with them. He's feeling terribly guilty that he's not particularly in tune with them as a father, so he moves them to a little corner of northwest New Jersey and takes a job as a rabbi at a synagogue. And we meet them 2 years after this happens, and nothing has gone the way he thought. The community has not really reached out to them particularly. The synagogue he's working at is having significant financial problems, so his job is really in jeopardy, and he's very, very scared about that. And his children have had kind of a rough time. He's discovered that the community he moved to is nearly all Christian, and there are very few Jews, and they are not they haven't really dealt a lot with Jewish people. His older son is now a senior in high school, getting ready to graduate, and is making plans to go to college. But he's dating a Christian girl who is trying very hard to hold on to him and keep him in town. And his daughter is going to be bat mitzvahed, which as a Jewish person happens when you're 13, and doesn't want to be and is really resisting it and is very lonely and is not feeling part of a group, is feeling very left out. And so she begins to kind of get involved with a little bit of a cult-like experience.
Don't tell anymore. I
won't. That's all I'm going to say because a lot of things happen. But I am Jewish, And I always have struggled with issues of being Jewish, of God, of faith.
Well, hold that thought, Judy, because we're going to our first break.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with more Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these. Is there more living for you to do? Yes. Start living inspired. Be here for Living Inspired with Tricia Goyer, Thursday afternoons at 4, 3 p.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Tricia will dig deep into topics that matter most to women, inspiring women to make a change in their own lives and to make a difference in the world, and maybe even deep within their own hearts. Tricia is a wife, mom, speaker, family expert, and author of 24 books. For more information on Tricia and Living Inspired, go to her website, TriciaGoyer.com. That's TriciaGoyer.com. Tricia's vision is to be the voice of hope and possibility for women of all ages. Her intention is to serve ordinary women by encouraging extraordinary things with God's help. Tricia expresses real life, real hope for real women. Is there more living for you to do? Yes. Start living inspired. Living Inspired with Tricia Goyer. Thursday afternoons at 4, 3 p.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Are you fascinated by the stories behind the stories? The people behind their masks? The truth about people's failures and redemptions in both their business and personal lives? Then Off the Record Secrets of with host Judy Schreiner is for you. It's people's secrets that make them interesting, but very few folks are willing to reveal them unless they trust that their information will be treated with accuracy, fairness, and respect. People have been entrusting their secrets to longtime business journalist Judy Schreiner for the last 25 years, and now she's bringing her expertise and impressive contact list to Rockstar Radio Network. Tune in and call in as host Judy Schreiner talks to guests off the record as they reveal new secrets each Tuesday at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. The hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, isn't it fun to mix things up, to start the beginning with the end with my poem about why mothers cry, and to have my second guest first? It's always fun to change things, but anyway, we found Connie. So, Connie, welcome to the show. Sorry about that. Thanks so much for being on the show this morning.
Good morning.
How are you? So
I'm
we have
great.
Connie. We have Connie Grunning from peanutbutterandwine.com, and she's going to tell us what's hot and what's not in May. So you are on. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so I know it's got to be quick this morning, so let me tell you about splash cards. These are cards for the swimming pool or for the bathtub. These are two-piece cards, and you can make a whale. You start with the top and the bottom, and it spells out whale. And you can mix and match these to make your own funny animals, which the kids under 5 think it's just horrible to mix and match. They do not want to do that. They want them just like they're supposed to be. But you have 15 different animals on 30 cards. Now, we have been using these for over probably 3 weeks. They are still pristine. They don't get wet. The suds doesn't hurt them. The soap doesn't hurt them. The sunshine doesn't hurt them. So it's perfect for the summer.
This is so great. I'm looking. If you can go look at peanutbutterandwine.com, you'll see these splash cards while Connie's talking about it. These are so cute. My gosh, what a great thing.
So this is all from Winning Moves Games, and they have another one called Crocodile Dentist, where you open up the head and you push down the little teeth until it snaps on your hand. Does not hurt. There's no loose parts. There's no battery. There's nothing. That's also from Winning Moves. And I also am giving away a Scrabble game from there. So you might want to check those out for kids because summer is coming. Next up, adhesive photo collage. And I get to give away one 5 feet or under. And this sticks to your wall over 200 times. They got tired of trying to take it off and re-stick it after 200 tries. You can put it anywhere. When you're done with it being as big or as whatever size you order,
when you're done with that, you can cut it with a rotary cutter and put the pictures anywhere. It's made of the same thing that your canvases are made of, but it's sticky on the back. But it was so easy. We literally hung it up in less than a minute and then took it back off and straightened it and took it back off and moved it.
So what is this called? I'm looking on your site.
Look on the right-hand side, Adhesive Photo Collage.
Oh, this is great.
Is that, don't I have the cutest
I love this.
Ever? It is so cool. You can add any picture you want on here. Now,
because I know the back, behind my pictures, I must have 6 holes behind everything. This is great. I love it.
That's awesome. Oh, my gosh, I was so in love with this. I love this collage. This collage is amazing. And then I have, of course, my regulars, my candle, my diamond candle is up. I have $35 cash. I also have Nature's Sleep slippers from the people that make the Nature's Sleep beds. Oh, you'll never want to take these slippers off. And there's still 5 days left to get in on that.
I'm looking at this. These are so good. I just want everything. So, who won the wine weekend? It wasn't me.
It wasn't me. I don't know who won. They haven't told me. I'll have to write and ask. I'll find out who it was.
That was really a fun one.
Yes, it was. Oh, and I have a laptop up. I have, I want to tell you more about the splash cards. If you don't have kids, but you have a pool or you have a hot tub, they also have Royal Jack, and they also have Splash Jack, which is just a plain deck of playing cards. And you get to choose which deck you want if you win. So
that's really fun because, at the beginning of the show I was talking about May is Water Safety Month, National Water Safety Month. And, here in Arizona, last week it was 102. So unfortunately, we had two kids that drowned. I mean, we've had a number of drownings already. Arizona has more drownings every year. And actually 2 were teenagers. And, you think teenagers are okay. But this is great because it gives them something to do in the water and you know where they are. And if you make sure you have your pool watcher, the pool watcher can even be a part of this. So this is great.
Yes. And they stick on the wall. If you put 2 together, you just stick them. They don't leave a mark. And it goes on the tile if they're in the bathtub. So I'm sure they could use it on the side of the pool, too.
I wonder if it would stick on a house. I always tell parents when their kids are bored, their toddlers are bored in the summer, to take them outside with a little water pail, put them in their bathing suit, and let them water away and wipe the wall and wipe the house.
You betcha. I have an old paintbrush that we put in our bucket, and they can paint the house.
What fun. I bet little Alice loves that.
She does. So that's all I have for you today is lots of good little things for the kids, especially for the bathtub.
So I'm looking at this. What is the Big Finish Volume Hairspray? Oh, it's Goldwell style hairspray.
This stuff, I used it. I didn't wash my hair for 3 days. I still had curl.
Wow, this is good. I love Goldwell. Goldwell is a really good company. I know I've used their products before. This is a great giveaway.
Yes. And peridot earrings. Am I saying that right, peridot? Peridot, yes.
Yeah, peridot.
You know what? 10 pair. And this, I'm telling you, these earrings the green is so pretty.
I'm looking at this. This is it's like lime green.
Mm-hmm. And it's from Darkest Tory, and they are, their selection is just gorgeous. Oh, and you still have time to get in on the double heart earrings, and you're just going to pay shipping and handling, which I believe is just $5.95.
That's really good. What about this is dryer sheets, 1 year worth of dryer sheets? That's pretty good.
See, I find all the great stuff to have on here.
Everybody has to go look at peanutbutterandwine.com. I love your giveaways. They're so much fun. And you know what? You have automobile reviews. I love your Asylum members, which is really cute. This is funny. Look at these great pictures of the family. How old is Alice?
Alice will be 3 on the 1st of June.
Wow. You know what? It's like I can't believe it. She was a baby when we started talking. And your other grandchildren?
I have a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old.
What fun. Do you cook with them?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And I've already started Alice with cooking, too.
That's really fun. So are you doing something special for Mother's Day?
We are. We're all going out for breakfast so that none of the moms have to cook.
No,
which I think is much better.
I think that's such a great idea because, you know what, we always end up fixing it. You know, we think nobody does it right, which they do.
Exactly. I figure if anybody cooks and it's not me, they're doing it perfectly.
That's what I think. You know what? And so what? If there's crumb on the floor, get a dog. My dog.
That's right. Little vacuums. They just run around. And if not, get some Velcro some knee pad things on your grandkids and let them crawl around and clean.
Do they? You know what? I remember having those knee pads. There was a company years ago when I started writing my books. It was from Australia, and they had the cutest little hot pink and purple knee pads that you could buy for your toddler. Because when not your toddler, your baby, when they first start crawling, those little knees, they get sore.
They do still make those, and they make them in every shape, size, every kind of design. I did those for Alice because we have tile in our house. And we use those. But they also make these things that are, for babies, they're a joke gift. But they're little tiny, like, onesies that are made out of mop.
They're made out of mop?
They have all those little strings on them. So the kids look like they're wearing a big, giant mop.
I remember. If you haven't seen that, I think it was on Facebook, and it showed the mom. It was a joke, and she was cleaning the floor with her child, which was really kind of gross because she had the mop. Well, I remember that. That's pretty funny. There's some funny things out there, but, you know, I say this every month when you're on. I think I say this every month. I'll never forget the first time when we talked about toe juice.
Toe juice is still the funniest thing I've reviewed. I love toe juice.
Is it still out there? Is it toe juice?
Sure is.
For those of you that don't know what toe juice is, it's an antiseptic that you can put. Can you put it on cuts, I think?
Yes, you can put it on anything, and it works perfectly. I mean, it is still one of the things I keep in my cupboard all of the time.
That's pretty funny. So everybody should get that too. Toe juice. We're going to make you all spend your money for Mother's Day. Yeah, you could get your mother toe juice for Mother's Day.
There you go. And the snotterator. Don't forget the snotterator.
What was the snotterator?
It attaches to the vacuum. And
oh, my goodness, yes.
Do you know when Alice is really stuffed up, she will bring me the snotterator?
Okay, well, let's tell my listeners what the snotterator is. It sounds like we're hooking our kids up to the vacuum cleaner.
It's a tubing that you insert into the hose part of your vacuum, turn the vacuum on, and it gently sucks. It sucks very well, though, out all of the goo out of your both nostrils. The first thing I did, of course, was try it on me because I'm not going to use it on one of the babies without me first. And I was amazed. We fight over this during cold season, whether it stays at my daughter's house or it stays at my house, because it works so well. And it holds into a little tube, so it's not going back into your vacuum cleaner. It's super easy to take apart. You just snap pieces apart and clean it with hot, soapy water, and it's ready to go the next time.
That's
Nothing
pretty funny.
Goes back. But I love the name, the snotterator.
That's funny because I always called the little aspirator the snottalizer. And I don't know if you've checked out my new website, mybestparentingadvice.com. I have baby Jake on there, and he had a cold, and he is a baby that's part of my website and talks about what it's like to be a baby. And he had a cold, and one of the posts is about his cold and the snottalizer because his mother didn't know about the snotterator. So maybe she's going to have to invest in that because then that's pretty funny because then poor mom got the cold. Check out mybestparentingadvice.com. Jake is really interesting. He likes to tell everybody exactly what it's like to be a baby. And mom has to go back to work soon. So his next post is going to be, his post was about something called nanny. He's not really sure what nanny means. So the next post is going to be about her working interview and what happened when nanny came over to try out taking care of baby Jake. So anyway, check it out because it's really interesting. He gives lots of tips for new moms and expectant moms. So, Connie, thanks for being on the show. Sorry about getting you on the second time.
No problem.
And have a wonderful Mother's Day. Enjoy your breakfast, and we will talk to you next month.
All right. Happy Mother's Day, and thank you again.
Happy Mother's Day to you. Thanks for being on the show.
Bye-bye.
Baby love, my baby love, I need you, oh, I need you.
We'll be right back with more help. For help, my baby came without instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
Baby love, my baby love, I need you, oh, I need you.
Evermore, people have the means to live, but no meaning to live. These are the words of Dr. Viktor Frankl, the inspiration for the movie Victor and I. That's VIKTOR and I, movie.com. And Talk Sense Radio, The Meaning Connection, with host Mary Simaluka and frequent contributor Alexander Vesley. Friday afternoons at 3, 2 Central on TogiNet.com. More and more people today are discarding their quest for money, possessions, and things, and are instead beginning a serious quest to find meaning in life. Until now, these discussions were historically in the hands of priests, ministers, and scribes, then to philosophers, psychiatrists, and psychologists. Now, these deep discussions are where they should be, in the hands of individuals, on the air with you. Talk Sense Radio, The Meaning Connection, with your host, Mary Simaluka, and frequent contributor, Alexander Vesley. Friday afternoons at 3, 2 Central, on TogiNet.com. Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, I have a question for you, my wonderful listeners. Did you ever feel like you didn't fit in? You know, maybe your friends, you didn't feel right with your friends, or you remember a time when you were growing up, or, you know, you have a young one that doesn't feel like they fit in. And they come home and they say, I don't have any friends. Well, I have Judy Walters on the phone, and she just wrote this terrific book called The Opposite of Normal, which I am reading and cannot put down. And it really touches on that subject. I mean, and we talk about normal. What's normal? We're all normal. We're all miracles. We're all normal. Whatever we are, and we have to embrace that. So Judy is back with us for the rest of the show. Judy, welcome back. Before the commercial, you were talking about how you struggled sometimes with your Judaism, and you know, reading this book, I just want to say, and I don't want to give anything away, but in the beginning of the book, if you weren't listening, a mom adopts a baby from, I believe, China.
Right.
And this little girl talks about not fitting in and what she's embracing, and without telling you what's happening in the book, it's really interesting, because if you feel like you don't fit in, I mean, even as adults, sometimes we feel like we don't fit in. It's not just for kids, but it's so important when you have little ones to stay on top of what they're doing and who their friends are. And, you know, even when they're in preschool, you know, our parents call me and say, my toddler bit another child. Well, is that because your toddler was angry? Is that because you don't know. You always have to know what your children are doing. And, you know, part of this that I'm getting from the book is that, like today, everybody's busy and sometimes things get away from us. And this dad in the book, he loves his kids more than anything, but he's got his own things going on. So, right. Judy, I talked enough. Your turn.
Well, I do think the idea of fitting in is a universal concept that we can all relate to at some point or another. I know as a child I often felt like I did not fit in, like I didn't have friends. I had the experience of joining Facebook I guess it was about maybe 4 or 5 years ago now. And as soon as I joined Facebook, all of these old high school people started friending me and saying, wasn't it great when we were in high school? Don't you remember when? And I had a really weird experience of feeling like I didn't feel like I had any friends in high school. And now you're telling me we were friends. So it's a really weird experience to find out that your perception is not always the reality. Sometimes it is. But I often did not feel like I felt in as a child, and I think both of my kids at times have felt that way too.
You know, you're making me remember something that was just horrible when I was in 6th grade. Girls are mean. I mean, boys get upset and they slug each other and they're done and they go on. Girls, mean girls, I have to say, when I was in 6th grade, there was a group of girls, and they used to change who their friends were every week. And some of them were safety patrols that helped you cross the street, and they used to actually get a piece of paper and put on who they hated for the week. They would put IHBL, I hate Blythe Littman, or whatever it was, and they'd all tape these pieces of paper on their shirts, and you were out for that week or that month. And to get back in, you had to do these things to get back in the club. I remember this one time. Probably nobody will ever listen to the show after I tell you this, but I remember one time this friend that I really wanted to be in the group, and the thing she made me do was she lit a match, and I had to put it out with every one of my fingers. You know, if you hit the match with your finger, it goes out. And I'm looking back at this thinking, what was wrong with me? What was going on? But I didn't want to be the IHBL, I hate Blythe Littman. And it was awful because you didn't fit in. Nobody liked you.
It is very, very tough, and middle school is one of the toughest times, of course, for all of this. And I had plenty of my own experiences with the mean girls, and it's just really difficult. I think with girls it is more difficult than with boys. My husband is one of 4 boys, and my mother-in-law had always wanted a daughter, and then she said when the kids got to be teenagers and her friends would call her and say, my daughter was up all night crying because she doesn't think she has any friends, and this one was mean to her, my mother-in-law would get off the phone and feel so relieved that she'd only had boys and didn't have to deal with all of the girl stuff because the boys might be annoyed with each other, but then they wanted to have someone to go play baseball with, so they just kind of went on their way. So it is a different experience when you have girls.
You know, and even when they're toddlers, I mean, friendship is different when they're toddlers. They don't know about friendship yet. But you will see, it's interesting because I've worked in the toddler room many times, and you will see when the kids go outside, sometimes there's a little clique, and the little girl will say, you be the mother, and you be the baby, and you be whatever, and the boys are running around like wild Indians. And when one little girl, I remember this, in one of my classes, one little girl did not want to be the baby. And this little girl, she was 3, and she said, well, you can't play with us. And it was clear as anything because I remember going over there saying, you know what, we're all friends, and why don't we do this and whatever I don't know what I told them to do. I told them that they were all friends and they could all be mommies or babies. But even at 3 years old, it can start where
yes, definitely.
Somebody's the boss.
Yes. My sister's daughter is 12 now, but when she was 3 and 4 in preschool, my sister would call me and say that the girls were doing that. And I think my daughters had some of that, but I definitely remember my sister calling me and telling me about her daughter's experiences at 3 and 4 in preschool, having that experience.
And isn't it scary because it's so young? And the thing is, they have to learn. It's tough to watch your children learn their lessons.
Yeah.
And you teach them to use their words, but you can't exactly, say to a 3-year-old what you would say to a 12-year-old because they don't understand. They want to be the mommy, and you want to be the mommy, and they don't care.
Right.
And it's a fight. And and little girls too, they'll push. I don't see little girls hit. I've seen little girls push, or I've seen little girls bite. And hopefully this is how we all learn, and the teacher can take control. I know we're talking about a preschool right now, but you have to be aware, especially in this day and age. I mean, 3 is so much more mature than it used to be. 3 was a baby. A 3-year-old now, my gosh, they know how to go on the computer. They know their letters. Yeah. It's amazing. My kids were babies when they were 3.
I think there's also that concept of sharing, which they don't quite get yet at that age, and so there's a lot of struggle over being very centered on their own world and not really being able to always understand another child's point of view. That's very hard.
Absolutely. One of my favorite tips is if your kids will not share, if they have friends and they won't share their toys, make a toy timeout box and put the toy in the timeout and not the child. And it gives
another thing you can do that some people find helpful is before you have the play date and the other child's coming over, say to your child, we're going to be sharing your toys. Are there 2 or 3 things that you just don't want anyone to play with? Then no one will play with them, including you, during that time, and you put them in a box and you put them away. And that way the child feels like, well, I still have some special things away that no one plays with but me, but I'm not going to play with them in front of these kids.
That's so important. It's so important because you also give them the control and the wonderful self-esteem. So also I do want to say one thing about your book. In this book, the child loses her mother.
Yes.
Which makes it doubly tough, and I'm not giving anything away. But did any of that come from any of your experiences?
My mother is still alive and well.
Yay.
But I do have friends who were adopted. I have a friend who was adopted as a child. We're still friends today, and her experiences really resonated with me about what she went through as an adopted child. And in my book, Hannah, one of the main characters, is adopted. And I have known children who've had mothers die and seen how difficult their lives are just trying to grow up without a mother.
It's tough. And I mean, my mother's still alive too, thank goodness, but I can just imagine because you see the struggles with the father and, what happens when they're around 12 and what happens when they get their period or they need a bra or, mommy things.
Right.
How much does the dad get involved? And it's different.
I have 2 daughters, and I remember thinking when they were young children that the one thing I wanted was for them to grow up with me always there. And I remember feeling really paranoid that something would happen to me and they wouldn't have that mother figure. And as they got older, seeing how vital it is for girls to have a mother or someone mother-like in their lives. My younger daughter has a friend whose mother sadly committed suicide a few years ago, and she is now 15. And I've just been watching her struggle to grow up. There are other mothers, thank goodness, in her neighborhood who've really taken her under their wing and really tried to help her grow up. But I can imagine that it would be very difficult to be that age without a mother in the house.
You know what? That's a tough age anyway. And the thing is, when you're a young teenager, you don't go out and seek people to help you because you're just maturing and learning. So it's so important for other mothers or other women's figures to try to come into their lives. Because, the questions, the things when you're growing up, especially for little girls, it's so embarrassing to ask some of the questions.
Right. And a mother should be there to sort of know ahead of time. One of the values of the mother is to, especially as we're going into Mother's Day this weekend, is that the mother will recognize the girl's needs before she even kind of realizes that she has them.
Oh, it's so true. And they, but if they don't have a mother, then Dad has to take over. And I'm not putting dads down. Dads are
No, me neither.
No, and Dad
my husband's a wonderful father, so I'm not putting Dad down either.
Yeah, no, dads can talk about everything too, but they just talk about it a little differently because they haven't experienced it. Like the things they tell their sons. We haven't experienced it. Right.
I know that as my daughters were entering puberty and they were younger, the 12, 13-year-old, I remember saying to my husband a couple times, why aren't you saying anything, joking with him, and him saying, this is all you do it. And it's true that from experience, it does help to be able to share your lessons with them.
It really does. And reading your book, your character in the book is Chinese, and which makes it, it's doubly hard. She doesn't have a mother, and she's also Chinese, and her dad's a rabbi.
Right.
So this book, as I'm reading it, I'm thinking this little girl, it's tough because I don't know what to say because I don't want to give away the book. But you know what? There's pieces in the book that you've written that her skin is a different color and she's a little darker than other kids. And they look at her and they, she doesn't feel like she's like the rest of them. So it's really important to have somebody to help her, which I'll say at some point she may. I'm not going to say anymore, but we're going to, it brings up a lot of things. You're a wonderful writer. I love your writing voice. You write the way you speak, and it just flows, and You don't want to put the book down. And it's so funny because I was reading the book the other night. I mean, I have all the devices and I read my books on my iPad. It was so nice to pick up a book and sit there and read it, even though it fell on my chest when I fell asleep. But anyway, we fit in here, and we are going to have a commercial, so hang in there. We will be right back.
We'll be right back with more Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
As a member of the baby boomer generation, you want insights and ideas that factor into planning for, making choices about, and activating your new or mothballed dreams. As a boomer, you can learn how to act on your visions by tuning into the Awakening to Awareness show on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. If you are inspired to follow your own path, step into new directions, and are excited about what you, as a recent or soon-to-be retiree, can do with your life, this is your show. Listen to the show that focuses on self-belief and possibilities for emerging seniors who look forward to life's third act with dread or amazing promise. Host Eric Toningson and his guests share entertaining ideas and explore strategies to reignite your passions and shift your intentions into action. In his naturally curious and motivating ways, Eric explores personal values, shares wisdom, and encourages you to unlock and live your potential and purpose. Join Eric and his Awakening to Awareness show on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on the TogiNet Talk Radio Network.
Is there more living for you to do? Yes. Start living inspired. Be here for Living Inspired with Tricia Goyer, Thursday afternoons at 4, 3 p.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Tricia will dig deep into topics that matter most to women, inspiring women to make a change in their own lives and to make a difference in the world, and maybe even deep within their own hearts. Tricia is a wife, mom, speaker, family expert, and author of 24 books. For more information on Tricia and Living Inspired, go to her website, TriciaGoyer.com. That's TriciaGoyer.com. Tricia's vision is to be the voice of hope and possibility for women of all ages. Her intention is to serve ordinary women by encouraging extraordinary things with God's help. Tricia expresses real life, real hope for real women. Is there more living for you to do? Yes. Start living inspired. Living Inspired with Tricia Goyer. Thursday afternoons at 4, 3 p.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. The hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back. I am here with my wonderful guest, Judy Walters. She has written a terrific book, and her first book was called The Child of Mine, and this new book is The Opposite of Normal, which I can't put down. I mean, I love a good book, and we were talking during the commercial, and I was saying that I read a lot of books on my on my devices, which I was saying before the commercial, and this is nice to have a book in my hand. When it hits my chest at night, when I'm reading, it's not quite as heavy. Because I try to read before I go to bed sometimes. But anyway, I don't think I'm going to be giving too much away, but I do want to talk to Judy about something. In part of the book, it has to do with a teen pregnancy. And that's all I'm going to say about that. You have to read the book. Everybody, you should read this book. It's just great. But there's a part about teen pregnancy, and you know what? It's a big problem, and I don't understand in this day and age. We have so many things at our fingertips with birth control and education and internet and, you know, teachers and doctors. And it's very scary because teenagers get pregnant by mistake. They also sometimes get pregnant because they they don't really understand what it means to have a baby, and sometimes they think it'll make their lives better and something to love, and they're babies themselves. And anyway, Judy, what do you think?
My daughter and I watched that show 16 and Pregnant. I don't know if you've ever watched it. It's on
No.
MTV, and it's a documentary show that actually follows teenage girls who become pregnant and what happens to them. And so it goes through the last few months of the pregnancy, and then sometimes they choose some of the people to go on later, and they follow them through the first or second year of the baby's life. And it always amazes me that the girls wind up pregnant. Even adults wind up pregnant and say it was a mistake. And I'm kind of thinking, or an accident, or a surprise. And I'm kind of thinking, if you're not using birth control, what do you think is going to happen? But I find that a lot of these girls, as teenagers especially, they don't realize that they're looking for something. They're looking to fill something in themselves. And so they become pregnant as a way to make things better for themselves, not realizing or understanding that it's actually going to make things much, much worse, regardless of what decision they make with the pregnancy. So that's what I find about teenage pregnancy, that it's about the child, these teenagers, missing something from their own lives. And certain teenagers are more at risk than others. And I do find teenage pregnancy and the decisions that surround it very interesting.
It's scary because the decision is, do you have the baby? Do you abort the pregnancy? Do you go for adoption?
Right.
And none of those are good.
No. And in this particular show that I watch, virtually all of the girls choose to become parents. Many of them don't even really discuss adoption as an option, although a couple of them do. And they don't have the resources to be parents. Their own parents are often not really involved in their lives. There's no money. They don't have the patience or the maturity to do it properly. I found as a new parent, as an adult, it extremely, extremely difficult. My older daughter was colicky, and she was not only a planned pregnancy, but a pregnancy after infertility. So she was so wanted, and so, I so appreciated becoming a mother. But she cried nonstop for the first 3 months of her life, and it was extremely difficult. I was completely unprepared for the incredible lack of sleep and the exhaustion and how difficult nursing was. I really found that first year really, really difficult. And as an adult, so I can't even imagine as a teenager trying to do it.
No, and you don't know. I mean, I took care of many babies, and I started when I was 11 years old. And when I had my daughter, Lindsay had her days and nights mixed up, and I was so sleep deprived. And it's funny because I knew exactly what to do. Give me a baby, I can tell you how to get the baby to sleep. I can tell you what to do. Give me Lindsay, that's my baby. I remember my mother going out and buying me Dr. Spock. And it was so funny because when it's your own baby, you don't realize, and you don't realize how tired you are, and you don't realize that, this baby needs you 24/7. They don't know it's 3 o'clock in the morning. They
Right.
have no idea. They're either their little belly hurts or they're hungry or, whatever it is, they're getting used to the world. But you can't tell a teenager or anybody else how that's going to feel. Just like you can't tell them, a parent, an older mom that has a baby and dad, you can't tell them how much you're going to love this baby, that it's a different kind of love. You can't explain that.
Right.
So,
I remember when my daughter she's 20 now, but she was about 8-9 weeks old, and really I had almost no sleep, certainly no consecutive sleep in all that time. And I had gone into another room because she was crying, and I didn't want my husband to wake up because he was going to work the next day. And I went into a spare bedroom in our house with her, and I looked at her and I said, "What do you want from me?" And then I almost laughed at myself because, of course, she couldn't answer. And now I'm able to look back and kind of laugh at myself. But at the time, it just was so overwhelming, the lack of sleep and the lack of control and not feeling like you are yourself anymore.
No, it is overwhelming. And, especially that first month, you don't really know your baby's cry.
Right.
So you're also, I remember, I've had many parents tell me that they're scared because they'll call me and say the baby's screaming bloody murder, and I will listen. They'll actually put the phone or Skype, and I'll say, no, the baby's not screaming bloody murder. They're not in pain. I'll say that sounds like a tired cry, or that sounds like a hungry cry, or maybe they need to burp. And you don't know your baby's cries or their cues in the beginning. And when you first come home from the hospital, that adrenaline is pumping. You're so excited. And when you finally crash, the baby's there. And the baby still needs to eat every 2 or 3 hours and needs to be changed. Or if they're colicky, needs to be, walked around or whatever it is. There's not a break. And I think that's the biggest shock to parents that go, wait a minute. This baby, I love it more than anything, but I need a nap. And you can't do that.
Yeah,
but you can.
Yes, I found the newborn period to be very, very challenging. Fortunately, my second baby, first of all, I was obviously so much more prepared because I'd done it once before, but also she was a much easier infant, so she ate and slept at very regular times, and it didn't feel, and she was a quiet baby. She didn't have colic, so it felt a lot more doable. And then, of course, I had reversed for my toddler stage. My older daughter became a very easygoing toddler, and my younger one became more challenging as a toddler. So
that's funny. Also, with the second one too, you're calmer. You're not going to break the baby, and
you're
if the
much
baby
more confident.
Cries a few minutes, it's not the end of the world if your baby cries a little bit. And I'm not advocating letting your baby scream bloody murder, but it's okay. Like if you're in the bathroom, you can wait 2 seconds or whatever it is, but you don't know it. So the question here is, you have schools getting upset with parents getting upset with the schools because of sex education and how far do you go in school. But, what do we do about teen pregnancy?
Well, all the studies show that when you do not educate them, they go and have sex anyway, and then they're having sex and they have no means of birth control. So the idea that if you don't talk about it or if you only teach them not to do it, that's going to work, time and time again, all the studies show that is not feasible. You have to teach them. I've taught my girls from a very young age about sex and birth control, encouraged them to come talk to me, and I've taken all of their concerns seriously, and I think I'm pretty realistic about teen sex.
You know what? That's so important. That's so important, and that's the key. You know what? Make yourself available to your children. I know this is baby and toddler instructions, but you know what? Don't ever forget this. Always be available for your children, and don't be embarrassed to talk to them about anything. And maybe, unfortunately, the kids are having sex at much younger ages. So when it's age appropriate for your child, and they're all different, don't be afraid to talk to them. So, Judy, we are up to the end of the show. Can you please tell my listeners where they can get your book?
You can get The Opposite of Normal on Amazon. You can get it in ebook form if you wish, or you can actually purchase a paperback book. So you can do it either way. And I always encourage people, I love to hear from readers. If you want to do a book club, I'm there for book clubs. If you want to just tell me what you've thought of it and give me your thoughts and your suggestions, I'm open to those. And you can find me online as well.
And what's your address online? Where can they find you?
JudyMullenWalters.com is my website.
Well, I will put that on my website, and you've been a great guest, and thank you so much for being on the show. I can't wait for your next book. You have a wonderful, happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. You too.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Well, I have to tell you, The Opposite of Normal, it's such a great read. You won't want to put it down. So take a look, get it, start reading. Great book. Next week, my guest will be... Let's see who my guest will be next week. I'm forgetting the name. I know. My guest next week is going to be Polly Campbell. She wrote a book called Imperfect Spirituality, Extraordinary Enlightenment for Ordinary People. It's going to be another great show. I already feel enlightened. As women, we don't take time to sit down and breathe, so take a few seconds today and every day and sit down and just breathe and enjoy your day, especially if the sun's out. Also, don't forget, I can help you with any non-medical baby or toddler issues, crying, sleeping, tantrums, biting, to name just a few. Call my office and schedule an appointment I do Skype in-home in Arizona or the telephone. My office number is 480-510-1453. And check out babyinstructions.com and mybestparentingadvice.com. I put favorite tips on there, so I'd like to leave you with these words of wisdom. Confidence is the sexiest thing a woman can wear. And we all need to say, I am unique, I am special, and I am me, and I fit in everywhere. I am so happy you could tune in this morning. I want to wish you a wonderful Mother's Day. Enjoy whatever celebration you're having, and have a great rest of the week. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Happy Mother's Day.